Explanation of the word equality, 1793. The perverse sense imposed on the word equality by the folly or the fears of some of our countrymen is as dangerous as it is absurd, and they may probably see the day when they may repent of having infused into the minds of the people a notion that the equality to be contended for is an equality of wealth and possessions. If by continually repeating this idea the uninformed, or as they are arrogantly styled by the pensioned Mr. B, the swinish multitude, should take it into their heads that they are justified in enforcing such a system, the consequences will rest upon those who by perversion of terms have wickedly or foolishly propagated so dangerous a doctrine. The equality insisted on by the friends of reform is an equality of rights, or in other words, that every person may be equally entitled to the protection and benefits of society, may equally have a voice in the election of those who make the laws by which he is affected in his liberty, his life, or his property, and may have a fair opportunity of exerting to advantage any talents he may possess. The rule is not, let all mankind be perpetually equal. God and nature have forbidden it. But let all mankind start fair in the race of life. The inequality derived from labor and successful enterprise, the result of superior industry and good fortune, is an inequality essential to the very existence of society, and it naturally follows that the property so acquired should pass from a father to his children. To render property insecure would destroy all motives to exertion and tear up public happiness by the roots. Such are the truths acknowledged and avowed by the reformers of the present day, and were but in the wild workings of a disordered imagination do their enemies find the dangerous doctrines with which they daily alarm the public. Are they acknowledged by the government of America? Are they to be discovered in the code of the French nation? Have they been avowed by any constitutional society in this kingdom? Or are there any traces of such doctrines in the works of any modern reformer? Again, are the reformers of the present day less interested than their abusers in the prosperity of their country? Are Mr. Grey and his numerous coadjutors men without property? Let the opposers of reform come forward and answer these questions, or let us hear no more of levellers or levelling systems, nor let an odium be thrown on great and unchangeable truths from the wilful perversion of a word. To the swinish multitude. We hope the above definition of a word, which has been so falsely perverted by the enemies of the human race, will be so far invincible in its operation as to remove the prejudices which have been excited in the minds of the ignorant against the friends of Reformation and the advocates of an equality of rights, an equality so essential to the preservation of our liberties and the promotion of our happiness, that it is impossible that either the one or the other of those blessings can be secured to us unless this is obtained. And as a preliminary to the acquisition of it, we would recommend to our countrymen a serious and impartial consideration of the advantages which would result to them from so valuable a privilege, and we would hope that this consideration would rouse them from the apathy which they are immersed in, and which will, unless awakened to a sense of their danger, terminate in a total privation of their civil and religious liberty. The systematic opposition which has been made during the present administration to the reasonable claims of the people sufficiently justifies such an apprehension. They barbarously imagine that a more equal participation of blessings would tend to a diminution of their personal power and authority, and thus are far less anxious to increase the comforts or relive the sufferings of the indigent and oppressed than to perpetuate their ignorance and to ensure the continuance of their own dominion. Permit us to appeal to your judgment by asking you what connection can there be between a system of favoritism, taxation, corruption, and the prosperity of a nation? Is it not to be attributed to an uniform adherence to this wretched system that the nation groans under the pressure of a debt which amounts to the enormous sum of 270 millions, and to aggravate our distress and insult our misfortune, the annual amount of the taxes is 20 millions of pounds. The weight of it in gold would be upwards of 156 tons. The ponderous load is rendered intolerable when we recollect that a great portion of the taxes which ought to be appropriated to the liquidation of the debt is squandered upon a profligate race of placemen and pensioners. The only qualification they have to boast of as the basis of their merit is a total desertion of the cause of the people, and servile attachment to the fountain of emolument and honours. Let the magnitude of the object which you have to contend for stimulate your most vigorous exertions in cooperating with the friends of reform, in order to obtain a full, free, and equal representation of the people in the House of Commons, which has been, by the gravitating power of secret and undue influence, attracted into the vortex of corruption. We shall now conclude with reminding our countrymen, in order to encourage them in the pursuit of this momentous object, that they have reason, truth, and justice for their auxiliaries. Therefore, we hope they will not be intimidated by the feeble and ineffectual opposition which may be made to their claims by a phalanx of placemen and pensioners who have no other virtues to unite them but corruption, and no other arguments to oppose our reasoning but sophistry and declamation.